Hello, I am Edanur. I am comparing and interpreting GDP and inflation values in Italy and the Philippines. To compare and interpret GDP and inflation values in Italy and the Philippines, examine each indicator separately and then make a comparison between the two countries. Gross domestic product (GDP) is a measure of the total economic output of a country within a specific time period. It reflects the value of all goods and services produced within a country's borders. Italy is a developed country in Europe with a diverse economy. Its GDP is influenced by various sectors, including manufacturing, services, and tourism. Italy's GDP growth rate can indicate the overall health of its economy. Higher growth rates typically indicate increased economic activity and prosperity. The Philippines is an emerging economy in Southeast Asia. It has a mixed economy with sectors such as services, agriculture, and manufacturing, contributing to its GDP. The GDP growth rate in the Philippines can reflect the country's economic development, investment, and consumption patterns. Interpretation: a higher GDP growth rate generally signifies a healthier and expanding economy, whereas a lower growth rate suggests slower economic progress. Comparing the GDP growth rates of Italy and the Philippines can give us an idea of how their economies are performing in relation to each other. Inflation refers to the rate at which the general price level of goods and services in an economy increases over time. It is typically expressed as a percentage change in the consumer price index or a similar inflation index. Inflation in Italy affects the purchasing power of consumers and business. Higher inflation rates erode the value of money, making goods and services more expensive. Low or stable inflation rates generally promote economic stability, investment, and consumer confidence. Inflation in the Philippines impacts the cost of living and overall economic stability. Higher inflation can reduce purchasing power and potentially hinder economic growth. The Central Bank of the Philippines, Bangko Sentral ng Philippines, aims to maintain stable and manageable inflation rates. Interpretation: comparing inflation rates between Italy and the Philippines can give insights into the country's price stability and the impact on their respective economies. Lower and stable inflation rates are generally preferable as they promote a more predictable economic environment. Comparison: to make a meaningful comparison, we would need specific GDP growth and inflation rate data for Italy and the Philippines. As an AI model, I don't have access to real-time data beyond my knowledge cutoff in September 2021. It's essential to refer to up-to-date economic indicators and official sources, such as the national statistical agencies or central banks of each country, to obtain the most recent information and make accurate comparisons. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me.